up on stage. Let's clap for him as he comes up. So in the morning we talked about marriage and the home being a little taste of heaven. Now we're going to take a step back and look at how we can plan for the marriage and plan for the family. So in regards of planning for a family, there are a lot of factors that are involved. So the first question that I would ask is, okay, when a couple is in the courtship stage and they are contemplating marriage, what are some important questions that should be asked by that couple? Dr. Ekwendu.
Happy Sabbath, everybody. I'm pleased, first of all, to be in your midst this Sabbath afternoon. And if you don't mind, I just want to comment the drama skit that just concluded that presentation. That was amazing. And going back to the question, she's asking what a couple should anticipate when planning marriage. Well, they wouldn't have been a couple yet. So what should anyone who is anticipating marriage look out for? First of all, I like to be real in my discussions, and I face reality parts. I would always say, first, what attracts you is number one. Because you need to get attracted to someone before you can begin the rest of the journey. Once you see someone and you're attracted to that person by maybe the person's intelligence, appearance, social interaction, or whatever might have made you get attracted to that person, which is number one, the attraction, you now look out for the person's background. You want to know what is his or her background, what's her upbringing like. After checking out that person's background, it will also involve knowing how true and faithful that person is in her religious life, most especially as a Christian. Now, coming down to the church, maybe as Adventists, what are you looking out for? There are a lot of people who profess to be Christians, but in their character, deed, and action, they are not Christians. So you now need to look out to know if that person is actually what she professes to be in Christendom. That's if he's truly a child of God. If that person is truly a child of God and believes in Jesus Christ and belongs, probably if God blesses you, to your faith, that makes it a lot easier. You now also have to look out for psychological balance. Is this person psychologically balanced to carry a relationship? Can this person actually give me attention? Can he give me the care that I need? Is he stable emotionally? Socially, how is his interaction with people? Is that the kind of person I want to show up with, to say, yes, this is the person I want to get married to? Now, is he financially stable to take care of himself? Is she financially stable to take care of herself? In our present day, the man is always looked at to be the one that should that should bring the finance, that should be the powerhouse or the CBN of the home. But things are changing. So by the time you are looking out for a man who has money to take care of you and his home, that same man is also looking out for a lady who has the financial capability to manage his home as well. They are looking out for those who are industrious, who have skill. So these are some of the things. If the person already is an office worker, as we put it, does that person have an additional skill in case the person runs out of job any day? Is there any other thing that can be used to support the home? So these are some of the points one will need to look out for, including others. Let me just stop here.
Thank you so much, Ma. Before I continue, I'd like to welcome Dr. Kima. Thank you for joining us, sir. It's an honor to have you here. So, Ma, you also mentioned about finances and money. Nowadays, we have housewives, we even have house husbands. There are situations where the husband stays home and take care of the child while the wife goes to work. So before marriage, how do they discuss the idea of career, money making, home care? How can they discuss that together with how things are today?
I just want to, first of all, I just really want to thank Mr. Kendo for what she mentioned. And she said, I just speak on that and say, times have changed. Times have changed. And I'll just bring that in. I would say, one of the changes or one of the areas to look at is the man domestically involved, because these days where both are working class, you can expect both the man and the woman to come home, and then she goes to the kitchen trying to fix a meal and all of that, and the man is just sitting waiting for her to get the meal on the table. So you just have to check that out. Is this person domestically involved? Thank you. Back to your question. How do they get to finding out some of the things that have been mentioned? During courtship, it is a time for openness. It is a time to be sincere with one another. In fact, there's a Bible text that chapter before that says you need to be truthful. You need to be truthful to yourself, because there can be indications that we just overlook. You know, we can deceive ourselves. This is more common with ladies that say, I can handle it. I can handle it. Truth of the matter is you can handle it. You see something that is a signal, either from him or from her, but especially the ladies that say, I can handle it. I can handle it. By the time both of you come under one roof, I tell you, you can handle it. Because you cannot combat him, you cannot change, neither can you change him or her. And so, right during the courtship is the time to discuss. And I will add this. Again, times are changing, and one area that we really need to pay attention is what kind of baggage is he bringing into the relationship? What kind of baggage is she bringing into the relationship? I will explain that. Every one of us have been wounded in some way or the other, and so you need to find out where this person is coming from. She mentioned earlier his background, and part of it is how he or she was raised from childhood, because situation at home, environment, experience can shape one's life, and that can leave a mark, either positive or negative. And so when you come into the relationship, you need to check, you need to inspect that baggage that the person is bringing in. I'll just give you a typical example. Somebody who broke up, got married actually, but then they couldn't continue that relationship as husband and wife, so they ended up in a court. That marriage was dissolved. Now after 1 or 2 years, he picked another relationship again. Now, on his side, he is all correct. In the side of the woman, she was not fit as a wife. This is according to him. And so the relationship, the marriage broke up. You got to inspect what led to the dissolution of that marriage, or why that marriage did not succeed. Because if you take that for granted, chances are it will happen again. And I tell you, from a real life situation, it happened again. So you need to inspect the baggage that the person is bringing in. That is the floor where you can discuss and know where the person is coming from. You need to talk about this. There's nothing to hide, because that is the stage at which you can make your decision. So I'll say your question again is, when should one find out all of this that has been mentioned earlier? So I would say right there, before the commitment itself. When I talk about commitment, I'm talking about engagement and all of that. You need to inspect, you need to find out where this person is coming from, what you can take, and what you can. So during that state of question, all of this needs to be discussed.
Thank you so much for that, Pastor Afanga. Please, if anyone has any questions, there will be papers that will be passed around so that you can note it down, and they will later be addressed. So looking at our African culture, if a couple is unable to have a child, most of the time the blame is attributed to the woman. And in regards to family planning, the use of contraceptives, and determining who would be the one to be involved in that, it seems like the option is only available to women. Most families I know that do family planning, it's usually the woman that is involved. So I would like to know, Dr. Chima, from the medical perspective, because I know that there are options of family planning that are also available for men. Why does it seem that in our culture, men don't typically tend to take on some actions in regards to family planning?
Happy Sabbath to you all. I must apologize for coming a bit late. It is due to my work schedule. I was on call, or I had on call, so I had some cases to attend to, so I just had to sneak in so that I would not disappoint you. So coming to what she asked, yes, family planning actually is a conscious effort made by a couple to limit the number of children that they would have, or space the children through the use of contraceptive. And I would say that there are various forms of contraceptive, ranging from male to female. But the problem is that some of us don't know that there is an option of contraceptive for men. You have the vasectomy, that is where you cut the pipe that transmits semen and sperm cells. Some people don't know about it. And in some cultures, some people just believe that it's just the woman who should have the option of contraception. But it should not be so. And again, I would say that some of us have also failed in our duty because we do not counsel these patients enough. Because it involves the couple, the man and the woman. And that is why, before we offer any method of contraception, we invite both couples. Even if we are not going to see the man, we tell the woman to tell the man that they will decide on the form of contraceptive they would use, and that is it. But you know, some women also have this impression that it is them that should undergo this method of contraception. So you can't change it. In fact, there's a research I want to conduct. I want to know the attitude and awareness of women towards male contraception. I want to know what they feel. Because some women also have some myth and misconception concerning male contraception. They feel the man should have the vasectomy, that is cutting of the the pipe or the channel that transmits semen into the penis. They feel that it's going to affect the function of the man. Some studies have revealed that. But we want to know, what is it? Are they aware that there is an option for men? Will the women be willing to allow their men to go for contraception? So these are problems, these are issues in our own setting that we are battling with. But in the Western world, I don't think it's an issue. They agree on, because they agree on who should undergo any method of contraception you offer to them. But however, I also say that we cannot rule out that our culture has a role to play too. I don't know what your culture is in your place, but our culture may have a role to play. So when we conduct this research, we will actually know what the problem is. Is it that they are not aware, or that they would not want to allow their husbands to undergo this method of contraception? However, I would like to say that there are also research going on male pills, but it has not actually been put into use. There are other cases of trial. So when it is out, then we start talking of male pills. So males can also take some pills, just as women take, to suppress what controls the production of semen, sperm cell. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Still on the topic of family planning, these contraceptives have a lot of negative side effects for the women, as far as I know. So I read a little bit about natural family planning. This is something that Catholics and some Protestants use. It basically refers to keeping track of the lady's cycle to determine when she's most fertile and when she's not fertile. So they then decide when to procreate to determine the amount of children that they will have or to not have. But what is your take on this? Because there are lots of women that don't have regular menstrual cycle or consistent cycles.
You see, that's a challenge. Another challenge is natural forms of contraception. So, not that there are no options for natural methods. In as much as we have the natural method, we have the modern method. The natural method which was practiced, some practiced in the Bible, I think Onan, and God was angry with him because of the motive for which he practiced it. That is the way but theologians will verify why God was angry. In fact, some people even say that it can be used as a basis, spiritual basis, to condemn use of contraception. But I would say, in my own opinion, as far as I know, I think it's the motive for which he did that. Now, coming to natural form of contraception, I would say that the fact that you mentioned, and that is what we are concerned about, some women don't have regular menstrual cycle. So, they would not, because they don't have they don't have regular menstrual cycle, they would not be able to tell when they are ovulating, because that is when contraception can take place. Conception, not contraception, I mean. Conception can take place, because you need to know your ovulation period so that you would know when you can take in, and also the time when you cannot take in. That is the safe period. So due to that drawback, natural form of contraception has a high failure rate, and that is why we advise women who want to undergo that of the drawbacks of natural methods of contraception. Coming to the modern methods, which could be hormonal, implants, sats, under the skin. We have insertable. They have their pros and cons, and as our methods are different, that is how everyone will react differently. Some people will take the hormonal methods and they will be fine. Others will take it and they will react to it. There are a lot of benefits, so there are a lot of side effects. and that some women have experienced. So when we counsel them, we tell them these are the side effects that you may pass through, but in case you go through these things, this form will switch over to alternative forms of contraception. So just as I tell people, even as we are seated here, there's nothing, even life alone has its own risk. As you're walking around, doing your job, something could happen. That is where contraceptive is. It has its own side effect, but not everyone will have experienced the side effect. It depends on how your body responds to any form of contraception you have chosen.
Thank you so much, sir. I think it's very, very important for us to be educated more on the use of contraceptives and family planning. So, when I served in Katsina, the pastor there was speaking a little bit about family planning. So he's not really in support. He's not really in support of family planning, and his reasons were that God said that we should be fruitful and multiply. Now, if you look at the animals, they have children. They don't control it. They have as many children as possible, and God still takes care of them, right? That's what He said. So how much more we as human beings, since children are supposed to be a reward from God and a gift from God, why should we take that power into our own hands to decide how many children we want to have? So, Pastor Kwaka, how biblical is the idea of family planning? It's supported by the Bible.
I would say that is funny, but it's serious because this is not the first time I hear that a colleague of mine once made that statement and said, God said, going to the world, multiply and fill there. But common sense will tell us it is not that way. Because if you think of it, the Bible is not direct, but is implied. So I don't want to miss that. The Bible, as regards family planning, the Bible is not direct, but is implied. How do we know that? God's injunction or instruction is any man who fails to provide for the family is what? Is worse than an infidel. What does that mean? Will you bring an offspring, or will you bring up children that you cannot take care of? And so common sense tells us that we need to sit and plan. Again, before you say, yes, I do, is also an aspect that needs to be discussed and agreed upon. How many children are we going to bring into the world? So that needs to be agreed upon. And then, of course, we need to be prepared for it. So the question, does the Bible support family planning? I would say yes. Again, I say the Bible is not direct, but it's implied.
Alright, thank you so much, sir. It's good that we're getting answers from the medical, pastoral, academic perspective. Now, in looking at the roles of third parties or friends in marriage, like for example, let's say a lady has a best friend before getting married, and that best friend always comes to see her, she's always going to her house, visiting her, and all that. Now, they're about to get married. How can they control, or how can they handle third-party interference or friendships in the marriage so it doesn't cause problems now?
Okay. At the point where you have settled in your mind that you're getting married and you get married, I would always say that it's good first to go through a counseling session with your pastor. Even if you're not going to have the proper white wedding, if it's just a traditional marriage or just an in-house marriage, it's good at the same time to work with a minister who would counsel you and tell you how you can manage some of these challenges. At the point of the counseling, he will ask you the interferences, the areas you probably want your partner or spouse to make amends. And if it is somebody like myself, who love people around me, who love friends, and I was brought up in a parsonage, we're used to very large families. Since I was born, we're used to crowd in my house. Until date, I'm in love with having people all around me. Even if it's one cup of rice, we'll all eat it together and be happy we did. So that's the kind of background I came out from. And coming to get married, of course, you have people around you who also give you some sort of advice. How do you handle this? It's a very difficult thing to handle. First, when you're getting married, automatically your parents have become a third party. Your siblings are third parties. Your friends are also third parties. You now need to know what will make my partner happy. What will I do to make him happy? What will I do to make her happy? And whatever you're doing should not be that which will make him unhappy. If you have a friend that always advises you, don't worry, leave the food, can't he take care of himself in the kitchen? Automatically it's going against the principles of marriage. So you know that that kind of friendship should be cut off. Because the Bible even tells you that that part of your body that will lead you to sin, you should cut it off. And you cannot tell me that you're so dumb, you don't know those friends that will always give you the wrong advices. So why don't you just stay away? They say, in my place, there's this proverb, you know, that friendship is better at times from a distance. Because when you allow that person to come too close to you, the person will hurt you. So why don't you just allow that friend to be where she is and you be yourself and maintain your cool? Most especially when you're building your marriage newly. You don't need any interference. Once you get married, everybody should stay away so that you can learn your husband or your wife and be able to bond together and have one voice and speak the same language. But when you allow interference, you begin to have issues. For example, when I got married, just like we say we're prophets of our own. When we were courting, we just said, when we get married, we'll have children immediately. Let us play around, have fun, you know, and be ourselves. We want to enjoy life before the children will come and start disturbing. We said it just by the way, as we were relating with ourselves. Then after marriage, we forgot that statement. So when we got married, after 1 week, 2 weeks, in fact, after 1 week, when I came to church, the women in the church just looked at me and said, you know what that means? That your body is now looking very fine. We praise God, oh, our God is so faithful. I still wondering what is going on. After 1 month, the Lord is really working in you. We can see it is manifest. Nothing was happening. 3 months, one day I had catarrh. They said, this sickness is good sickness. This sickness, we praise God. You have catarrh? I said, yes. Thank God, oh. This type of sickness we want. I was wondering what was going on. 3 months passed, 6 months passed, no pregnancy. I said, what is this? But I didn't do anything now. No baby is coming. 6 months gone, I started started having headache. 1 year, severe headache. I said, what is this? 1 year, 6 months, no show. I started moving from one hospital to the other, seeking advice. Some people now start giving me some very wonderful advices. Some were good, some were bad, to tell you the truth. That's not what I'll come here to say. Because a lot of people who don't have children have received a lot of loads of wrong advices and bad, good ones. So we need to be careful of the kind of third party that encroaches into the home. If you're not careful, you make mistakes. So at the 2nd year of my marriage, I didn't even know when I took him, to be sincere. In fact, I went to the hospital for the doctor to conduct a particular examination, which he was supposed to open up with the, I don't know what to call it, speculum, you know, and do some things. So when he asked me to climb up, undress. So I undressed, and he said, okay, he just put his hand gloves, called the nurse, brought the instruments and everything. And I said, then hold on. I told you anytime you want to come for this particular examination, you should come with your husband. I said, my husband traveled. He said, no, please get down. Your husband has to be here, get down. So I got down and went home. I went straight to the hospital where I was working, and my friend said, where are you coming from? I said, I went to very close to Santa Maria, something like that. I said, what's the problem? I said, this child thing is becoming an issue. She said, every time, have you seen your menses? I said, this one, it will soon come out. Just came out, you'll see it now. She said, let me check you. So she just carried out the test. I said, Jesus Christ, don't tell me you're pregnant. I said, it's a lie. It's a lie. She said, look at it now, look at this strip. Can't you see the double line? It's not true. So I told my husband, look at what she's saying. He was like, are you sure? Okay, let's go to a higher person in the teaching hospital. So we went and he talked about, congratulations. So I said, yeah. So what would have happened? I don't know if probably he did that, if anything would have happened. Nothing, right? But I was afraid. But thank God all the same. It was later my husband said, but remember we said 2 years. I said, it's true. You are a prophet of your own. Whatever you speak will come to be. So you better know the kind of things you speak out. In fact, whatever you say comes to be. That's what I just want to say. So watch your word and watch the parties that encroach into your home. Sorry for taking your time that much.
Alright, thank you so much, ma'am. Yes, it's very important for us to take that with us, to be careful of things that we say, because we never know what will happen. So we have one question here from the audience. It says, what are really the reasons or factors for and behind family planning? What are really the reasons or factors for and behind family planning?
The different people or couples have different reasons for family planning. If you're talking of using contraceptives, some people do that to limit the number of children that we have, or to space their children appropriately. That's what most couples request family planning for. So you can decide, I want to have my child, okay, a year after my marriage. Some may want to take contraceptives to prevent conception from happening. Then you have your first child and you decide that the next child will be in 3 years' time. That's for spacing. Some people would also request contraceptives for that. So I think those are 2 reasons, common reasons. However, there are other reasons why people would want contraception. Maybe for health reasons, they don't want to get pregnant, they don't want mistakes to occur. They have health challenges that pregnancy poses a great challenge to. So they may want to, stop conception by, going to a doctor to seek for opinion on the method of contraception that they will use.
Thank you, sir. We're almost getting to the end of this segment, so please, if you still have any questions, there are papers that we pass around. Please just note them down so that we can address it before we end. I'm aware of a woman who used family planning and still conceived. I don't know how common that is. options, which is the safest, I say, in terms of family planning? I don't know if there is a safest, but if there is, which is the safest for women?
I'm sorry to say, there's no safest form of contraception. There's no safest. Why? Because this form of contraception is like modern method. Because I would not say that the withdrawal method is not safe. I would not say that the Billings method is not safe. But the modern method, the challenge is them that they have, because most of them are hormonal. And even the ones that are not hormonal have some metals embedded in them. Anything could just happen, but we shouldn't think of that. Because it's just in the little. The few people, you can say the complication is just little. It may just be 1 in 100, but who knows who will be among the one. Then the problem with the natural method is that the failure rate is very, very high. You said something that some people still use contraceptive and still come down with pregnancy. It has happened. It even happened recently, last week, and it will continue to happen. Because some of them, nothing is perfect. But we won't say because they fail, because the failure rate, that we will not use them to help ourselves. Because the failure rates of some of these countries is very low, but who knows who would fall within that figure. So there are many reasons why contraceptive would fail. It could be due to wrong timing, it could be due to dislodgement for some people that will use the property, we call it cord, it can dislodge, it can migrate. When all those things happen, then conception will take place. Then it could also be because it has expired in you. You don't know, you didn't know, you didn't take note of the fact that there's an expiry date for that method of contraception. And then you go about having your normal relationship with your husband and things like that, and then you get pregnant. But the failure rate is very low, very low. That's what I can just say about contraception.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm sure that we're all learning a lot. We'll be coming to the close of this segment, but I'll ask one more question. Pastor Parker, there's usually a saying from women that my money is my money, your money is our money. So in regards to the marriage relationship, who is meant to be in charge of finances?
Wow. Well, the man is meant to be in charge of life. I want to get that as well on this. You being providing, those who provide, okay. The man, it is the primary duty of the man to provide for the family. But then it takes understanding. It takes understanding for the woman to also contribute recently, this from practical experience from others. Even if the woman is earning higher than the man, you still expect the man to put something down. And it is wired in every man. God made this right from the beginning. If you stop a man, let me check this out. How many men will appreciate the wife to aim high and say, honey, you know what, don't worry about finances. Since my earning, my salary can take care of the family, and you just relax, and at the end of the month, I'll put the money on the table, and the man will be comfortable. Any man? Any man? Okay. Because that is the pride of a man, positive. For a man to work and provide for the family, that gives the man a sense of worth. So it is the man.
Sorry, I want to contribute to that question. And I want to contribute from experience. You see, anything that has to do with finances in the family, it has to do with understanding. Why do I say this? People can say my money is my money, but your money or the man is our money. That's the wrong impression. Yes. As we speak now, my wife earns more than I do. I get it. My wife earns more than I do, but that does not stop the fact. It does not negate the fact that I'm the head of the home. And from our end, we have to remain an agreement that 70% of our salary will go to the joint account that I have access to and she has access to. It has to do with understanding. If you're working, a woman you're working, contribute to the home. The man, it's the responsibility of the man, but the man also will contribute. The woman which should also contribute. Because if you're an understanding woman, and the Bible says that women are meant to be what? Helpers. If you cannot help your family with your phone, then you're not fulfilling your function as a helper in the family. That's where understanding comes into.
Okay, let me also add to that. Because in finance, that's where we have a lot of issues in marriage. There is no particular template. At this juncture, I want to say that there's no particular template on marriage or on how to marry your wife or your husband. My method, my style, can be different from your style. I cannot impose my style of marrying my husband on you and tell you it is the ideal. In every marriage, you write your own templates. You know how to manage your finances. You plan it together. And where there is no law, there will always be issues in finance. So once it comes to finance, if you decide it's going to be a joint account, then it's your agreement. If you decide you're going to have your single accounts separately, it's your agreement. If you decide that the man will take care of certain things while you take care of certain things, it's also your agreement. That's your own template. And if it works for you, then fine. If it doesn't work for you, then find another method. Find another means by which it will work for you. For instance, for myself, at the beginning of the marriage, we decided, my husband said he's going to take care of me full time. So whatever I'm going to use for myself, from my head to my toe, he will provide. So, and that the children I'm going to have for him, he's going to take care of them. I'm like, whoa. If you're going to take care of me, take care of my children, what will I now do with my money? He said, anything you want to do with it, now do with it. I was like, yeah. Like, seriously? He said, seriously. That puts me in a confused state. Why? He knows my salary. I can't spend it on myself because, of course, he has to take care of me. I can't spend it on my children because he will take care of them. Now, if I'm now left with my money, that means I have to keep account of that money that is in my hand. So I'm now afraid that I can't even take out a dime in my salary. So at the end of the month, I save it. The next month is there. The other month, and the money just keeps piling. And I now ask him, honey, can I buy television for the house? He said, do you want to? You know the money is your own. You do anything you want. I said, no, I want to buy television. He said, okay, let me escort you now. We went and bought television. And I said, oh, honey, but this money, don't you think this money is big? If I use it, we can use it to get a loan and start a building. He said, how much do you have? I said, I have about this figure. He said, okay, do you want to start? You want us to start building? I said, yes. How do you want? Let me do the foundation. Let me just start. So I did the foundation, got a loan, did it to DPC level, went up to window level. And I said, honey, the money has finished. Has it finished? I said, yes. He said, okay, don't worry, let me do the rest. So I just started building again. So I now discovered that my money was majorly used for projects because I couldn't touch it. So even when you come to ask me for money, I'll tell you the money is not my own. I work, but the money is my husband's money. So I can't even give you money because I can't account for it. because I have to say what I use that money for. So if I cannot spend money I cannot account for properly, it puts me on that check. So I don't spend anyhow. Love covers all things. So you have your own method and way of managing your home. Is strictly for you and you alone. So just like your faces are different, so will your marriage work for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It sounds like the issue of finances really needs to be discussed by both parties before getting married. So the question is directed towards you. Just two questions together. The first one says, please, as a married woman, don't I have the right to keep male best friends? And then the other question says, please, in a situation where the parents dictate what happens in their child's relationship or life, or who to date, what should such person do? Just make it clear. The first one, does she have, as a married woman, don't I have the right to keep male best friends?
Before you got married to your husband, I guess he should have been your best friend. Unfortunately, some people marry those who are not their best friends. That's where the problem comes in. So once you marry someone who is not your best friend, you're already in trouble. I tell you the truth. So if I tell you now, don't give me, in fact, you will destroy your home once you have a male best friend outside your marriage. You're going to destroy your home. I don't know how, but you're going to destroy your home. So it's better that you marry your friend. When I was getting married, I was looking for a friend. I was looking for a husband. I got married to my husband because he was my friend. So I needed a friend who understands me and who operates on the same level. So I didn't want a husband. You know what it means? When we were in school, they say, man, come find you. Man. When they say a man is looking for you, it's a man. I wasn't looking for a husband like a man. I was looking for a friend and I got one. So look for your friend. If unfortunately you are married to a husband and not a friend, allow the Lord to work in you, to channel it and refashion it in a way that he can be your friend. But where he is not, we always pray together that the Lord will make all things beautiful. It's very dangerous to have a male best friend.
All right, Ma, the second question. Please, in a situation where the parents dictate what happens in their child's relationship life or who to date, what should such person do?
If your parents still dictate for you what you do in your marriage, then you're not mature enough to get married. You shouldn't. Because at the point where you are saying I do, you are completely independent. You're now fused into your husband, you're fused into your wife. Two heads, those two heads are enough. So whatever you agree is binding. So when your parents begin to infiltrate into your home, there's a big challenge. There's a huge challenge which is not advisable. So it's not just right.
So, sir, I think we need to understand the perspective. For the question of not on marriage, but on who to date. That's the question.
Okay, the question again says, please, in a situation where the parents dictate what happens in their child's relationship life or who to date, what should such person do?
Oh, okay. Parents have the right to guide their children on who to marry. Parents have the right, 100% right, to guide their children towards who he or she would marry in life. Because they have gone ahead of you, they have seen life, they have seen the world, they have their experiences, their pains and their happiness. They know what you should do. They can guide, but not put a complete mandate. I will guide my children in the sense that I've suffered and I'm suffering to bring these children up, the girls and the boys. I suffer to make them wash plates, go to the farm, do some work, do what they're supposed to do, plan their time, save money. Even when they have money, there are certain things they want to buy, and I'll say you won't buy them. I make them organized. And I tell them that Christ comes first, and that they should love God and love their fellow human beings. Now, at the point of marriage, I'll now see a ruffian who doesn't know God, who cannot save, who cannot brush his mouth, who cannot keep the house clean, who will not put food on the table, who will finish eating and not take his place to the kitchen to wash. And you tell me to allow my child that I have suffered for all my life and labor to marry somebody that will make her or him sick and die. It will not work. It won't work at all. Because if you have organized your life in such a way that you know the values you have imparted and imputed into your children, you direct them to say, you have to marry a Christian. You have to marry someone who is kind, who will have your attention. In fact, by watching your family, by watching their parents, they know the kind of family they want. So you will be an example to your own children. And if you are a bad example too, your children will know that you are bad, and they will not want such to repeat in their homes. So they want also their marriages to be put straight. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. This question for Pastor Panga. When planning for the wedding, is it right for ladies to leave the total financial planning to the man, or it should be both parties' support for the wedding?
I would say both, because that has to do with commitment. That has to do with commitment. So if, although the man takes the major part of it, but it's both, because there has to be commitment. You are just one step into the marriage, into the home, and so if you don't play, if you are not involved, then already that is a projection of what is going to happen when you finally come in. So it has to be both sides involved.
All right, thank you, sir. The last question for the day, I'm directed to you, ma'am. How better can you help address the issue of ladies always wanting to do white wedding just to please their friends, or to do the same as their friends did, not considering the cost the man will suffer?
What is trending now is wedding and wedding. And the new one in vogue is even bridal shower. Very soon, the baby shower is not common here. Very soon, we'll still see baby shower. And these are the things that are causing a lot of problems in homes. If you love someone, why would you cut your coat according to your cloth? If your cloth is 1 yard, just use it to sew maybe a small top that is sleeveless. You mustn't get a gown from 1 yard. So you know the ability of the man you're marrying. Why push him to the wall in the name of show off? All of these things are show. And I want to, at this juncture, also say that if the Spirit of God is not in you, the things of the world will so enter into your mind that you want to be like others. Don't ever wish to be like others, because you can never meet up. Everybody is running their race. Everybody is on their own, running their individual race. Be contented with what you have and who you are. If your money can only do court wedding, go ahead and have a court wedding quietly. If it's a parlor wedding, that is fine. You have your pictures, you snap them and keep. You just call a photographer, get a white dress, take a picture, and hang it in your sitting room. Nobody is going to ask you where did it hold. You can also do it in your house. Nobody is going to ask you questions. Is this your wedding picture? Yes. Even the traditional marriage, a lot of people are making it so flamboyant, so expensive that it begins to cause trouble for the man at the end of the day. You discover some weddings and traditional marriages, the couple begin there, right there, to have issues and quarrel that will linger for a lifetime. Why do you have to go into such? So you just manage the little you can. If it's court marriage, fine. If it is the in-house marriage, you don't need to come out to the public and do a flamboyant traditional marriage. go ahead and do it so that your man can be happy and you yourself will also be happy. Then you take pictures and be proud of what you have. Be contented. If you don't have the Spirit of God in you, you will not be contented. Those things are for the things of the world. Do the much you can and leave the rest.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you, Dr. Gwen. Oh, okay.
I wish you will repeat that again. This is an area where we need to appeal and appeal. It cannot be overemphasized because I tell you, and this is, I said, look, let's use our common sense. If the time, the means, and the energy you put on just the day, the event, if you put that same amount of time, energy, means, and everything into the marriage itself, then there's bound to be success in that marriage. But I tell you, and this is coming from pressure and all of that, you see a lot. Yesterday night, someone came to the house and she said, in fact, she took about 15 to 20 minutes just expressing what she saw at a wedding. The reception alone, she said, approximately is nothing less than $1 million. Where on one table, this is a big hall, on one table you find two bottles of wine, malt, water, chop and sweet and all of that. This is a big hall. You have all of this, and yet this couple just moved into an apartment, a one-bedroom apartment that is empty. They have not put anything there. So now, and then here you come and you show a million whatever reception. Then what happened? And so you're going to spend time paying debt. And sometimes there can be transfer of aggression. I'm going through this, I'm paying this because of, and so sometimes that can bring about argument and all of that. So in the name of the Lord, please, the singles here, just spend time and energy on the marriage itself. Not in 1 or 2 hours, at most 3 hours celebration. Thank you.
All right, sir. In case there are any contributions from the audience, now is the time.
Okay. Too loud, please. I'm happy with the notes that have been sounded, and I'm happy it is sounded from a mother. I have been involved with a lot of singles and marriages, as many of you will know. And it beats my imagination that many a time, it's always the ladies who want something hard. And most times, they are always the ones who don't have anything to contribute. Is somebody getting me? If you believe it, say amen. You know, it amazes me. Dr. Brandon, may the Lord bless you. You see, the point is that when we take roll call here right now, you still realize that singles who are not married are more of ladies. Is that true? In a common Adventist church, if you check singles who are not married, we have more of ladies than we have guys. And these ladies, some who don't have so much means of livelihood, are also the ones who have set high standards. And they will turn around and complain that Adventist brothers are married from outside. What a paradox. Sometime in 2018 or 2019, Constance remind me, I conducted a wedding on this campus before COVID. And the gentleman said he wanted only 50 persons. They said they wanted only 50 persons in attendance. No reception. 2018, right? No reception. The guy is in Germany, the lady is from Burkina Faso. They came here to work. People on this campus criticize that wedding. Yeah, they don't have money. Yeah. But you know, the lady spent 1 week in my house, and I saw a lady who has single mind, who knows what she wanted, who set her priority right, and they had a wedding. 2 days after the wedding, they were in Germany, 2 of them. They had paid their flight ticket. They got visa for the lady. The flight ticket had been paid. They came here, had the wedding, no reception for everybody. As you are leaving by the door, thank you for coming. They give you a pack. Thank you for coming. Fruit salad. And they left. What I'm saying is that there are husbands and wives married here, even here. So I'm talking to you. They are here. But the point is, are we setting standards that we cannot keep, that our resources cannot carry, and then we keep praying to God to provide when He has provided? The man has been provided, but you're not seeing it because what you want is different. So I think that we don't need to waste all the day planning for one event, all our life planning for one event when there is a whole life to live. Dr. Mendo, I have a different viewpoint, which is biblical. I'm going to come from biblical when it comes to finance. There is a biblical template on family finance. And I think that what the picture you gave us has worked for you, I tell you, because of your family background. Because let me tell you that what your husband did was to test you. You passed the test because of your family background. Another woman who does not have good family background will see an opportunity to spend her money and waste it, and she failed the test. And so I would say that whereas family patterns are different, God has given us biblical principles, and I'll come with that. You see, Genesis chapter 2 is instructive, very instructive for those who want to get married. Verse 18, verses 21 to 25. Verse 18, it says, "It is not good for a man to be alone. I will make him an helpmeet." Underscore. You know, helpmeet is enedo in Hebrew. And it is only in Genesis chapter 2, verse 18, that it is used for human beings, all through the Bible. God is the only qualified help for human beings. You know, I will lift up my eyes to the hills, from whence cometh my help. I will do that, and several other places. It is only in that portion of the Bible that a human being, and of that matter, a woman, is described as an helper. The thing is that women don't understand the magnificency of goodness and the blessings, the embodiment of blessings God has put for them, for their husbands. That is why somebody wake up and say, "My money." The mere mention of the word "my money" reveals ignorance. It means that person has not understood what the Bible means by they are no longer two, but what? One. There's no space for my money. There's no space for my money. Because you're no longer two, but one. So, spiritual compatibility, emotional compatibility, financial compatibility, they are all part of the oneness. So, when the money comes in, or even before the money comes, there's a financial policy that follows that biblical principle that couples can take. Ellen White has also given good counseling. If you read Ellen White, Adventist Home, there is a section for finance. Let's all read it. Ellen White has also counseled. There is tithe, there is offering. Determined. Remove that 20% from your 100% join together. Then put the rest. There is school fees. There is family projects. There is welfare of each other. And like I said, let there be a percentage for the woman's pocket money. It's what's spread out. So that, because the woman is not supposed to be dependent on the man, I need 5 naira, I need 2 naira. So family money should be divided based on percentage. This is percentage for welfare of others, including your parents. This is the percentage, so that anybody can run that template. You don't need to come back again to say this is, oh, money has come, what do we do? So the Bible has provided, the Bible Spirit of Prophecy has provided financial guideline that all families can follow. The idea of, I have the money in my pocket, whenever we want it to bring it up, it is because of our selfishness and our misunderstanding of the fact that marriage is a union of two persons who seems to be two, but what? One. And that oneness is in every area, I must say, in every area of our lives. I think I need to say that. Thank you for saying that those who want to get married, even traditional marriage, should go for marital counseling. Many a times people think that marital counseling is only for those doing white wedding. A big error. What it takes to build a home is so much that individuals need skills, relationship skills, problem-solving skills, communication skills, financial skills, spiritual skills. We need to all look at that and let everybody, take note of that. On family planning, I just checked out and I saw that there are animals that are polygamous. There is also animals that are monogamous. And that is interesting. We can't compare ourselves with animals generally because, the cock does not have a permanent wife. Are we together? The cock does not have a permanent wife. Every hen that is available becomes a mating partner and it keeps moving up and down. Some animals can know their mothers or may not know their fathers. But in marriage, God has made one man, one wife. And for that reason, it's important that we extend that. But some animals also live like human beings. I have here the beavers, the grey wolves, the gibbons, especially of monkeys, the macaroni penguins. All these ones stay with their mates forever. And if there are animals that stay with their mates forever, there is a challenge for me that is created in the image of God. So family planning should be done very intentionally. Sometimes you can have a wife that says no boundaries. The Bible says be fruitful and multiply. It can also be a man who says, have you not read it from the Bible? Genesis chapter 1, verse 29, that the Bible says be fruitful and multiply. So we continue. And in such cases, we have seen, the doctor is here, we have seen individual couples who come to ask for family planning outside their partner because the partner is not in agreement. As much as possible, those of us who are here, please clarify your thoughts before you step inside. One question you must answer, two of you, before you even meet a marriage counselor is, how many children are we going to have? You have to settle that. Please, settle it. If he is not agreeing, settle it before you enter. If he is not in agreement, or if she is not in agreement, when you go for counseling, tell it to the pastor. Or send the pastor a private message. Pastor, this is one of the great areas. I want you to deal with it. So that when pastor begins to counsel, he will hit it until he has convinced him. Otherwise, if you don't do that, it will open a door for many more troubles in the marriage. And if that is not settled, some men can even go outside. Okay, they don't want to children, no problem. They begin to mess around because for them it is an issue. So I think I can stop here. Okay, the last thing I took note of is can I have a male best friend or a female best friend, as the case may be, outside my spouse? I like the way it was answered, but let me tell you, when we live here, somebody should go and read about emotional infidelity. Emotional infidelity, I didn't know how huge it is until I searched it out a few years back. You see, people may not be cheating physically, as in having sex, but many people cheat their spouses emotionally. And that one is even more traumatic because, you see, somebody can have a one-round sex with you, but not emotionally attached to you. Is that correct? People can meet somewhere, they have a casual sex, and you walk away. But when we are emotionally attached, it gets deeper. And emotional infidelity can happen even when you are lying down with your husband on the same bed. Two of you are there, but you are chatting somebody else who is far away. You are exchanging relationships that are very, very deep and that are unacceptable. So, to check whether you are cheating your spouse emotionally, again, it comes to one flesh, emotional compatibility. Check the kind of messages you send to people. If your spouse or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your fiancé read it, will the person be hot? If the person will be hot, then stop sending it. If your partner will be hurt by the kind of message or messages you send to somebody of the opposite sex, then stop it, because you are cheating the person emotionally. Emotional fidelity requires that my spouse is the first person that hears about everything that happens to me. If you have somebody in your life outside of your spouse, that when something happens, the person is the first person to hear. As you know, that means you are cheating your spouse emotionally. And sometimes those who cheat emotionally, when they meet in an odd space, they will cheat physically. Because there's a kind of bonding, unconscious bonding that has gone on, which they do not seem to understand. Thank you very much.
Okay, just to add up a little, Pastor, I would also like us to emphasize that whenever, because anything about relationship is very, very vast and deep. When you have a spouse, like this emotional something you're talking about, could be very common, and one can indulge into it easily, even without knowing. So a lot of people have come, just like you're a marriage counselor, we're marriage counselors, with issues like this. And when they come up with these issues, the problem is always that when they try to open up their hearts to their spouses or the person they're about to get married to, the way that person responds to it brings up that ripple effect. So for the guys and for the ladies in the house, we need to be careful on how we consume the information given to us by our partner. Because you need to be very proactive, you need to give that person attention, you need to give that person care, you need to show that you truly love that person. Because once there's a gap in marriage, you're letting the devil in. It was just a few seconds that Adam was not with Eve at that very moment that brought sin into the world. And we always say, if you're getting married, we always advise, make sure you're going to live with your spouse. Don't let your spouse live far away from you. If you're going to be with your spouse, make sure you're going to be in the same house. Not just in the same house, in the same room. Not just the same room, in the same bed. Unless there's a medical challenge that breaks you, that keeps you separate from each other. And it shouldn't be for too long. So don't give a gap in your marriage or in your relationship that will bring up an inroad for the enemy to plunge on. But then I will always say the ultimate is Christ. Once you have him, all these things are no stories. It won't even come up at all.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, there's another contribution.
Yes, without taking your time, let me say that I've enjoyed the conversations from the morning session up to this time. And I'm learning. I'm just 1 year into marriage, okay? And there's still a lot to learn. Let me just add some footnotes on the conversation on preparations, what to discuss with your partner before getting married. One thing that I talked over with my wife before we got married was sex. Because a lot of people get addicted. There are so many of our addictions, for people who are not here, they are addicted to drinking, they are addicted to smoking. Some are addicted to sex. To the point that if one partner is not bringing up the satisfaction, the other partner will look for someone else that will give him the satisfaction. We had to. So I asked my wife, how active are you? She also asked me, how active am I? So that we understand the level where we are. so that I will not be pretending like I don't really like it. You know, meanwhile when she's not around, I get it from someone else. So that conversation is something that we really need to have with our partners, you know, because a lot of people are addicted to sex. I know that. The second footnote I want to add is on how much who shares the bill for the wedding planning. Who shares the bill? Pastor has rightly said, Dr. Wampa also alluded that it has to be both partners sharing the bill for the wedding. But I like to say, okay, probably that wasn't where you had it. Sorry, sir. So I like to say that where it is not possible for the female partner to make contributions to the wedding planning as a result of maybe she's not working, you know, or something like that, she needs to keep her budget low. As at when we got married, my wife wasn't working. You know, so I told her, babe, I don't go borrow money. So keep your budget low. She had the kind of hair she wanted to wear for her wedding, but she had to reduce it. She had to reduce the price. As if you wear that hair, I think upon if you say, nah, bone tail with this, I'm not Brazilian. Nobody will come close to look at the texture of hair you're wearing. So keep your budget low. And which she did, fantastic. A lot of weddings are going on now without wedding reception. There's one going on next week. 2 of my friends are getting married next week. The other is on the 18th. We're all in a committee of friends, virtual committee of friends, and there is no reception for those weddings. It's not because COVID-19 says, no large gatherings, but because people are beginning to understand the fact that you don't need to spend so much on the wedding. And thank God the ladies are understanding. Both of them say we don't have, we don't have a planned reception. And I told the guy on this campus, got married just after I got married, I said, no go borrow money, feed 500 people. And then after the wedding night, you don't have food to eat at home. I will not, that is not sensible. As Afanga talked about being sensible, So where the lady, even on the part of the guy also, you're not able to meet up with the financial contributions as it concerns planning the wedding, keep your budget low. If you cannot have a gown of your own, you can go and hire a gown after which you return. You must not wear a particular kind of hair after which because again, after that event, after that wedding, nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about it. Whether people have food to eat, whether they have seats to sit on, whether you dance fantastically, nobody talks about it. After that day it ends. The next event that takes place the next week is the talk of the town. And on and on it goes. So nobody really wants to know about what happened in the event, because it's not their business. So it's not also your business to put a heavy budget on your head. I have a friend who got married and after borrowing to finance his wedding, every Saturday in church there's harassment at the gate. This wasn't here, in Port Harcourt. And the lady is somewhere crying because the Baba is saying, pay me my money, pay me my money. After church, the way our church is after Saturday worship, everybody is outside exchanging pleasantries, and then on one hand, the guy is harassing them, pay me my money, pay me my money. Why? Why would you do that? So keep your budget low. Your budget low. Parlor reception, the day I got my traditional marriage, people didn't know I got married. My wife posted it on Facebook, people are calling me, Chinedu, what happened today? Chinedu, what happened today? Chinedu, what happened? And I said, I'm sorry. You never know. Today I'm happily married to the glory of God. So keep the budget. Thank you.
Yeah, in the aspect of sex, I love to teach about sex. In the aspect of sex, we like to encourage and train our children to be chaste, to remain virgins until they marry. There's something it does. It has a very big advantage.